Hey guys, Kaif here, bringing to you yet another build guide, this time a 20k energy shield guardian minion tank, capable of clearing all content in game at the utmost highest level. Every piece of footage you see in this build guide is recorded at Awakener level 8. And yes, you did see that right, that is over 20k energy shield. Not only that, but in addition to the absurd amounts of energy shield we take advantage of multiple layers of defense, including but not limited to 27% block chance with a max block every 5 seconds for 2 seconds, 61% physical damage reduction with flasks up, 3.2k energy shield recharge per second, and a high level cast when damage taken immortal call setup. Our max block chance comes from the Bastion of Hope Ascendancy node, and it pretty much gives us permanent stun immunity because we cannot be stunned if we block within the last 10 seconds, and that's almost always the case. In addition to that, we also have utility from flasks to help with freeze, bleed, and other ailments. This in combination with our absurdly high energy shield results in something truly remarkable. This is, by far, without exaggeration, the tankiest character I have ever played. It's the perfect blend of ultra tankiness and consistent, decent DPS. Now 2.1 million DPS is no joke, and that's pretty much about where you will be at if you follow everything in this guide to the T. There's still room to min-max, there's still room to improve DPS, there is still room for even more energy shield. Currently this build is at level 94, and if you want to take this to level 100, which I am planning to do, you can potentially get 23k energy shield. Now sit back and I'll go through everything needed to make this build work the way it does. Now let's start with some gearing options. Basically there are only 3 things that this build needs to work. That's the Baron helmet, Geofri's Sanctuary, and Shaper's Touch. Everything else can be either crafted or can be a unique. Now, let's start out with the wand. You need a wand with at least +1 level to minion skill gems, and the others just have to be minion stats. For the shield, you ideally want a shield with strength. However, it's it's impossible to alteration spam spirit shield with strength, so you'll want high level flat energy shield, percentage energy shield, and then you'll want to craft strength, quality, and perhaps mana. Now, it is possible to craft a shield with built-in strength, but that is essence crafting, and you have to be rather lucky to have that happen to you. Moving on, you need a belt with flat strength, implicit strength, and percentage attributes or percentage strength for the role. This can be crafted using an Elder base heavy belt. This is what I did. If you cannot afford to do this, you can easily use a Cyclopean coil. That works just as well. You'll just not have those extremely high numbers when you get down to min-maxing. Next, we have the Baron helmet. It gives us, for every 300 strength, an additional zombie, and once we have at least 1000 strength, it puts some of that strength towards our minions. This is the build enabler, along with Geofri's Sanctuary and Shaper's Touch. Now this is also where we'll want to go ahead and put our Carrion Golem, our Spectres, attached to Meat Shield and Blood Magic. I'll explain why later when going through the gems. Moving on to Geofri's Sanctuary. This is primarily a strength stacking build. So Geofri's, it scales our energy shield based on the amount of strength we have. This again is another build enabler. You cannot play the game without this unique. Get it, put your main gem links in there, and you'll be good to go. Next up, we have Alberon's Warpath. This gives us between 15 and 18% increased strength. There is almost nothing better in slot besides a really high level crafted rare, and you still need like Catalyst to boost the stats to get it to be better than this. So this is not a must for the build, but you would have to spend a good amount of currency to get something better than this. Ignore the part about skeletons. We do not use skeletons, so that is completely pointless to us. We just want that 18% increased strength roll, and that gives us a ton of strength, which in turn gives us a ton of energy shield. And next up, we have yet another build enabler, and that is Shaper's Touch. Shaper's Touch is pretty much best in slot for almost any CI build out there. It scales so much from strength. It gives us so much energy shield. Nothing competes with it. I personally have yet to see a rare that is better than it, so it is a must. For our amulet, we pick up an Ascendancy and we allocate Righteous Army to it. That gives our minions a bit 20% more life and increased damage. Now, it is possible to craft an amulet better than this, but it's another one of those super expensive processes that you have to be at the tail end of min-maxing to actually get to. So you can go ahead and just use an Ascendancy pretty much permanently. For our rings, this is where we'll go ahead and pick up our resist. We also want flat strength and flat energy shield. If you can craft mana on the rings as well, that's also great, but the primary source of the rings is to get our elemental resist, because we will be short of ele resist. It's a downside of the build, but we will be able to cap out everything in the end if we have a couple decent rings and a couple decent jewels. And flasks are what you make them. If you want to go really fast, which everybody should want a bit of speed, get yourself a Quicksilver flask. Everything else is purely up to personal preference. I use the following flasks. It is not set in stone. You can pretty much use whatever you want. So I use a sulfur flask that gets rid of that gives me freeze immunity. I use a flask for dodge and for phasing. Phasing is really nice running through packs. And I use a granite flask, this unique granite flask. Flasks are, like I said before, it's up to personal preference. There's nothing build enabling about them. Just use what you feel comfortable using. Now let's get into gem links. So we use Raise Zombie, link to melee fizz, multi-strike, minion damage, feeding frenzy, and a level 4 empower. If you do not have a level 4 empower, you can either use fortify or maim. I would not recommend anything below a level 4 empower, so don't try to use like a level 3 or a level 2 empower. Just use maim or fortify until you get the level 4 empower. Now in our Baron helmet, that's where we'll have Raise Spectre, Summon Carrion Golem, Meat Shield, and all that linked to Blood Magic. Now the reason we use Blood Magic is because the two specters that we use are Carnage Chieftain and Host Chieftain, and those give us power and frenzy charges. Now to use those power and frenzy charges, they cost mana, and they'll use them every now and again without Blood Magic, but with Blood Magic they'll use their own HP and they'll cast them non-stop. Just bear in mind that to actually summon them, you have to remove the Blood Magic gem, summon these links, and then put back the Blood Magic gem. In our gloves, that's where we have our auras. So we have War Banner, Discipline, Pride, all linked to a level 4 Enlighten. If you do not have a level 4 Enlighten, a level 3 will work just fine. And if you do not have a level 3 Enlighten, you still can run all auras. You would just keep the 2 additional auras that I run, which are Clarity and Precision. You'll keep those at a very low level so that you have enough mana to run them. But the reason why we keep them now at such a high level is because the more mana we reserve, we actually get more energy shield. So it's good to have them at a high level if you have a level 4 Enlighten. And now moving on to our shield, that is where we keep Precision, Desecrate, and Convocation. You can put whatever you want here. Those are the colors I had, so that is what I put there. It doesn't have to be in any specific order or anything. And in our wand, that is where I have a very low level cast when damage vulnerability setup. So cast when damage taken, vulnerability, and our movement skill Flame Dash, which is not linked to anything, we keep that here as well. Now moving on to our boots, this is where we keep a high level cast when damage taken setup linked to Spirit Offering. No, Spirit Offering is definitely needed because it gives our minions a bit of tankiness in terms of like additional energy shield and stuff, and it also gives us additional chaos damage based on physical damage. So that's a large reason, part of the reason why we're not a complete brutality build is because we do have other sources of damage outside of pure physical. We also have the high level Immortal Call, and we keep our Clarity gem here because it will not be affected by the cast when damage taken setup because it's an aura gem and it reserves mana, so you can still cast it freely and it will be fine. So this takes up our final gem link, and we can now move on to checking out the skill tree to see just what makes this build tick behind the scenes and what to prioritize in terms of leveling, which direction to go first on the tree, and the best nodes to pick up in terms of like min-maxing and the key jewels that we'll need to make everything work out. So here we are at the skill tree, and we start out at the typical Templar starting. Now my best advice for you all is when you start out is to go around and head up. Just head up and head close to the Chaos Inoculation node, up and right in that general direction, because this is where we will be putting our efficient training jewels. You will need 3 of these. That was the first one. This is where you'll put the second one, and the third one will just come over here a bit to the right. And bear in mind, do not put these jewels any other place. This is the sole place that they can go. Do not try to put them anywhere else. So you'll need these 3 efficient training jewels here because this is the maximum amount of mana nodes, not mana. This is the maximum amount of intelligent nodes, that you have available to convert to strength. If you put it anywhere else, you will get less strength as a result, and you'll be less optimized. You'll also want one of these Emperor's Mastery jewels. You're limited to only one, so that's why you want one. You'll definitely need a Lethal Pride Timeless jewel. What this does in this spot, it grants additional strength to all these nodes surrounding it. So you'll get like +2 strength, +4 strength, and +20 strength from this this keystone passive right here. So the Timeless jewel gives you a significantly larger amount of energy shield if you don't have it. You also want a Clarity Watcher's Eye. You can put this pretty much anywhere. This does not matter where it goes, but you need the Clarity Watcher's Eye that says gain a percentage of your mana as extra energy shield. Now this, you can save this for last because this is pretty expensive now. With the changes to the Atlas, getting Elder fights and Uber Elder is way more difficult, so these have gone up in price a lot. So don't fret if you can't get one just yet. Just wait it out and save your currency and eventually buy one or farm one. You'll want an Emperor's Might jewel. Again, you're limited to only one of these, and this can also go anywhere. So the must-haves in terms of jewels, you want 3 efficient training, you want the Lethal Pride, you want the Emperor's Mastery and the Emperor's Might, and eventually you will need a Clarity Watcher's Eye, or you will not get to 20k. Now, the additional jewel slots can just be taken up by stuff that give you an elemental resist. I got lucky with this one. This actually dropped for me. It gives 14 strength, it gives increased mana, and it gives all res. And that just randomly dropped for me in a map. If you can get something like this that caters to your resist, you will be great. It will be a good find. But yeah, we are a bit strapped for resistances based on our gear. So for example, this second jewel here is just purely for fire resist and all resist. Once I level up some more, I can perhaps pick up like elemental resist somewhere off the tree, but for now this is what I have, so I'll just have to work with it. You will wind up having to sacrifice 1 or 2 gem slots just to get your resistances. So in the end, I might path up here, collect those 2 strength nodes, and then collect this +10 to all resists, and then that would free up that gem slot for me that I can just put out a jewel like a bronze jewel or something that gives percentage increased strength, or something that gives me a ton of flat strength or flat energy shield. Now let's move on to the Ascendancy Choices. We'll want to put our first 2 points into Radiant Faith because this gives us more energy shield, and we're looking to just cap out an energy shield wherever means possible. Because it does help out with our tankiness and being able to accept like everything one shot. Then we'll move down to Radiant Crusade. These choices are a must. Do not try to choose anything else, just focus specifically on this. You definitely need the +20 to all resistances, and then you want to work your way down to Unwavering Crusade. This helps out your minions a lot because we do not get much from the tree in terms of raw minion scaling damage nodes. So this Ascendancy choice right here helps us out a ton with DPS. It also grants Intimidate for 4 seconds on hit and Unnerve if like using spells. Finally, we want Bastion of Hope. This is incredibly tanky. So in addition to the 20k energy shield, or if you're not yet at 20k, if you have 10k or 15k, just getting this final point right here will give you that 50% chance to block damage every 5 seconds for 2 seconds, and you will, based on your gear, you'll be about between 25 and 30% block chance. So this choice right here gives you max block for 2 seconds every 5 seconds, and it allows us to get stun immunity without taking the Unwavering Stance Keystone passive, because that Keystone passive basically allows enemies to have 100% accuracy on you, because you lose the ability to evade all attacks, but you cannot be stunned. But with Bastion of Hope, if you have blocked any at all within the last 10 seconds, you have stun immunity, and you are always blocking within the last 10 seconds. So you pretty much have permanent stun immunity. So this is like, just get this as your final get this as your Uber Izaro choice, and you will see a significant difference in how tanky you are. And that's it. This is the tree. It's pretty basic. We'll move in now to the Pantheon choices. Now first, you'll take Soul of Lunaris because it gives us 1% additional physical damage reduction for each nearby enemy, up to 8%. Now, if you are focused on bossing, it's still good to get, because a lot of bosses have ads. Almost every boss has ads, with the exception of like the Conquerors. So definitely get it. And then we'll also get Soul of Tukohama, because the playstyle is a lot of standing around. So this helps out tremendously. You're just standing in one spot casting, especially on bosses, you're in one spot just casting if your minions die. If not, you're in one spot just tanking everything they throw at you, and this gives you up to 8% physical damage reduction. So I cannot recommend these two choices enough. They do help out with your survivability. And that's it for the build. We've gone over everything: the skill tree, the gems, the Pantheon choices, and the Ascendancy choices. This can very much be a league starter. You just need to invest in a Geofri's. That is perhaps the most expensive part of the build. You can use any weapon going forward until you manage to craft a wand. At this point in the video, I only had +1 to all minion skill gems, so I eventually can craft something better, like +2 gems, which I'm actually trying to do in the background. And yeah, that's it. Shaper's Touch is not very expensive. The Baron is not very expensive either. And Astromantis is probably about 2 exalts, depending on if you're playing on PC or console. And that's it. Enjoy the build, invest in the build, and you will be greatly rewarded, and you will play nothing else that is tankier than this. This is truly an almost unkillable tank. Thanks. Like, comment, and subscribe, and have fun playing Path of Exile.